Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Anima Orange, and this week in 3D metal novel news. Of course, starting with Fascinations Metal Earth this week, really nothing new to report. The Fascinations website has remained the same. We had our nice series of model releases, but nothing has come up as of late, and still waiting for the monthly newsletter, though I think it's a little bit early for that. I'm still waiting on that. Going over to Peace Cool, they also seem to have slowed down a bit with their new model releases, though they do have something new on their website. It's more of the metal brick, or like metal Lego type Medmonics models. They have another series of them. I'm not going to go into much detail about that because I don't think hardly anybody's that interested. I think I asked about that once and people just said that they weren't really interested in the metal brick, if nothing else because of the price and getting it shipped over. It just kind of like, why bother? But they have like a series of similar looking, if not the same looking models. I don't understand it. I'm not going to look too deep into it. Several different colors. One translation or one site web, one page calls it the source, the other calls it the inception. It looks to be 6 versions, basically different colors: galaxy silver, neon, sky gray, obsidian black, interstellar blue, platinum gold, lightning blue. If you're interested to know more about that, let me know, because I don't think anybody really is who watches this channel. But there's links to Peace Cool down in the comments, or down in the description down below. There's links so you can go check that out. But it's just like a series of more of the metal Lego-like bricks. It's just a kit. Several different colors of the same kit that I don't even understand what it is. Moving on from that, I did look on MU's website and I did see something new this week. It looks like they have another model that kind of hangs from a stand, and the translated name for this one is interestingly long. It's Birds Pay Homage to the Phoenix is the name, the English name for this model. And it's a very nice looking, kind of not delicate, but intricate model. Intricate's the word I'm looking for. There appears to be a number of different size sheets that come with it. Looks like there's one 250 by 190 millimeter sheet, one 125 by 95 millimeter sheet, and 3 125 by 190 millimeter sheets that make up this model. If it gave the part numbers or amount of parts, I missed it. It may have done that and I just didn't quite catch it. The size of the completed model without the brackets is 190 millimeters by 110 millimeters by 290 millimeters, and the last one's always the height. The size of it with the bracket, with it hanging on its stand more or less, 270 by 140 by a height of 340 millimeters. And this one appears to have a 7 out of 7 star difficulty, so a challenging model. And I've got a link to the MU site where that's listed. I haven't seen it in stores yet. Much like Peace Cool, or even Metal Earth, they're showing the model before it's available. So I don't have any idea when this has become available, but it doesn't seem to take MU very long, kind of like Peace Cool. A couple weeks maybe, if that, before it starts showing up. They also have in the listing, if you go to the link in the description down below, it looks like there's 2 different models, but I think the second part is just a description of the stand. And it's a little odd. I'm trying to interpret it, but the stand is called the Flaming Plume, and this size by itself apparently is 230 by 130 by 340 millimeters. It's all acrylic parts, and they have a bunch of measurements listed, and I guess it's just the size of the acrylic parts that make up the stand. There's a 225 by 165 by 3 millimeter. There's 230 by 166 by 3 millimeter parts, a 64 by 24 by 3, a 39 by 39 by 3, 39 by 22 by 3, and one 130 by 130 by 5, which I'm guessing is maybe the actual base of it. I think that's just a measurement of the different acrylic parts. They're not going to come on sheets. They're just separate parts you kind of slide together and make the stand. And that has a 1 star difficulty, so 1 out of 7 star difficulty. It's a stand, a few pieces, probably pretty easy to put together. It's just amusing that they list it separately as like 2 different models, but I'm guessing it's going to come in the same kit. I don't see why, but then again, maybe they will sell it separately. We'll see when it comes to sale on AliExpress stores and whatnot. We'll see if it's listed as all one model, or if it comes as a set, or if it's two different pieces. You might be able to buy the model without the stand, but looking at the model, you probably need the stand. And also, since we're talking about MU, the last models that I mentioned, they to me kind of look like something on a magic carpet. Youngmang and Nentian Gates, two very similar models, different color. I'm seeing them for sale on AliExpress now. Speaking of the MU, and there's several different sites that they're on. I'm just going to put a link of different sites that I found that on in the description down below of the different AliExpress stores, so you can go check it out for yourself. And one of those stores that's down below, MMZ, actually has something a little different. The MMZ model store, whenever I go check it out, they tend to kind of resurrect a lot of older models, and I want to say that this is one of the sites that sometimes pulls up recolors of models, and they're not always obvious what the brand name is. They make them all seem like they're MMZ models when they're different ones. There was a few on the page today that caught my attention, some HK Nanyuan models, just to kind of bring it up. I know don't talk about HK Nanyuan a lot. They are kind of an off brand, like they've done some copycat stuff, but they've done a lot of unique stuff, and I have built an HK, it's an HK Genesis, which is pretty much the same thing, HK Nanyuan. I don't know why. Sometimes it's Nanyuan, sometimes it's Genesis, sometimes there's no name with HK, or sometimes it's, I don't know, there's several different names surrounding it, but they all seem to be similar, same company. Anyway, there are several different models there. A few of them that caught my eye. One of them is the Ivan the Great bell tower, which I think I've seen floating around before. But it's kind of right up front here, and I thought I would bring it up. It's a pretty neat looking model. It's one of the more interesting models that I've seen from Nanyuan. It's not a lot of information on it. Like, it doesn't give me the sheets or the difficulty level, and that's typical for Nanyuan, and probably one of the reasons I don't mention them a lot. It does give me a finished model size, and that is 6.8 by 4.5 by 9.5 centimeters in height. So at least know that much. No idea what the difficulty level is, probably around the medium, but not always good at guessing that just by looking at the model. And then another one that caught my eye that I don't think I've seen before is a Beetle, the car, like the newer model Beetle, or at least here in the United States. When you think of Beetle, when you're my age, you think of Beetle, you might first think of the older, like 60s and 70s model Beetles, rounded top Volkswagen Beetles that were popular, that you stopped seeing in the mid-70s because they couldn't meet the emission standards in the US, but you can still find them in other countries. But then several years ago, Volkswagen brought back a newer version of it, and this seems to be a newer version of that vehicle. I think it's kind of neat though. I never was much of a newer Beetle fan, or newer vehicle. The old ones were kind of neat, very simple cars, easy to work on, good thing, because you tended to have to work on them a lot. The newer one, really don't know much about it. Anyway, the finished size for that one, it looks to be all silver. It's 8.2 by 3.4 by 2.8 centimeters. One of the images looks like it shows two sheets, but I don't know if that's an actual representation or if they're just throwing a random picture out there to give you an idea what the sheets look like. And then, again, there's several different ones listed. If you go in the description down below to the MMZ store link, and it does say it's the HK models or Nanyuan models, you'll see that there's several different ones. Just talking about some of the ones that caught my attention. Another one is kind of a construction model, and I had to double check the name on it. It's a diaphragm wall grab, or a mechanical diaphragm wall grab. I looked it up. It's actually a thing. It's not just a weird translation. That particular piece of machinery, or the machinery that is modeled after, is meant to grab a specific type of wall that's kind of built into the ground. Didn't dig in it too deep. If you're curious, diaphragm wall, Google it. You'll find out more information. They actually make a special machine for grabbing and pulling those out of the ground, and I believe that's it. Neat looking model. If you're into the construction stuff, it's something to add to the collection. Finished size of 5.4 by 2.9 by 9.1 centimeters. It looks to be another all silver model. Don't know the difficulty. And HK is kind of a mixed bag. Some of their stuff is just really horrible. Some of it's not so bad. The instructions can be a little But yeah, thought I would bring those up. Again, links in the description down below. And before we get into the topic of the week, last week, I will say, last week, if you remember, I did ask the question about Halloween, or not Halloween, but holiday themed models. What do you think? Are they a good idea? Would you buy? What kind would you like to see? That kind of stuff. And before we dive into the responses I got from that, I do want to mention about the Halloween themed models that I talked about a couple of times before. Last week there were 2 more to the collection. I believe it was the vampire house and a pumpkin house, and the prices were kind of high. I made several comments about how at that price I don't know that that's something that I would want to buy. And I received several responses from others who pointed out that you can find it in other stores for the cheaper, like $30 price. And one of the stores I used to go to, and I just don't pay much attention anymore because they're the ones that sent me the already built model. So I don't like to talk about stores and recommend stores that I'm not comfortable ordering from or I've had a bad experience with, so I kind of ignored them. But since then, other stores have started to carry it. They'll, like, if you look sometimes, it'll show the $60 price or higher price, but it says it's marked down, which is a common sales tactic. Mark the price up and then mark it back down to mark the price up without telling anybody, so you can mark it down to make them feel like they're getting a better deal. $30 isn't so bad. And it was also pointed out, and it has occurred to me, that in time, if I'm not going to be in a hurry to get this model, the prices may come down more when they're not so new. And I'm probably going to keep my eye out for that when they're not so new. Maybe grab them up for, I don't know, Halloween 2021, you know, if we make it. But back to the topic, back to the question, I did receive several responses to my holiday theme model question, starting in the order that, you know, when I went to put this video together, put my little script together on my laptop, the order in which YouTube presented them to me. So no particular order. Logan Springer, first of all, thank you for the hard work and dedication for making the Metal Model News videos. As a content creator myself, I don't think I'd be able to stay up to 2 a.m. to record a video. A Halloween model that I would like to see is a witch stirring up a potion in a cauldron. But that is pretty gimmicky, so I don't know that any company would do it, but it would be pretty cool. And you know, the witch stirring up a potion would actually, I think that might be interesting if you put it in one of the music box type things where it actually maybe turned, the witches turned instead of them spinning. Literally just popped in my head as I'm reading that comment. That might actually be kind of interesting. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Witches stirring a cauldron might be a good piece to add to something else. Maybe a music box type thing if they bring those back out. Very interesting thought. I like that. As for staying up till 2 a.m., I don't know that I really publicly mentioned it, but my new job, I sort of got a promotion. And just sidetrack here for a moment. I went from first shift to third shift, so I'm now working third shift. So I'm now recording this at almost 1 in the morning because it's my night off, and this is my schedule now. But last week, when I recorded this video, what I was doing was coming home from work and going to bed earlier every night and getting up an hour earlier every morning for work to slowly shift my schedule. And it was nice because for several days there I had 1, 2, 3 hours of just nothing but quiet in the middle of the morning to work on videos, work on the model, stuff like that. But you know, I appreciate your respect and comment about the time that I put into making these videos, but now being up 2 in the morning is actually a normal thing for me. Moving on, Christopher Thorpe. Hi Brad, Christmas theme models is definitely something I would like to see more of. Halloween with classic movie monsters could be a fun spin to take on, giving a little variation. And that's an interesting idea. I didn't really think about that. I was thinking when I asked this question about generic holiday themed, but to actually bring something more classic or more I dare say, licensed into it, like classic movie monsters. And yeah, that's not a bad idea right there if someone could get the licenses to do so. John Finnegan Jr., great idea for the holiday themed kits as long as the pricing isn't stupid crazy. Do things like Frankenstein's or the Monsters Coach or House, the Addams Family Home. Again, just keep pricing under $30. Thanks for the continued videos. Great work. And, you know, back to the money thing again, $30 isn't so bad if it's a sizable model. But if you're paying $30 and it's the size of, I don't know, and it's the size of one of these smaller Disney castles that aren't that big, that's a nice amount of money to pay for that. And the next comment is from GarthTube, and I will say GarthTube is someone who usually helps me with some of the translations with these Chinese models. So GarthTube chimed in. Great video, like always. You got the names right. The first model, Mirith, is just a style of house. The other one is indeed a farmhouse. And Garth goes on to talk about the prices of the Halloween models and whatnot. And then goes on to talk about holiday model type of models that might work: werewolf, vampire, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, etc. And wishes me well. So again, more kind of generic, classic Halloween scary monster type thing there. And you know, it seems like the kits that keep coming up that are more or less pricey are kind of playing on those classic themes and not being too specific, which is not a bad plan. Rich Boosie, Halloween theme models would open the possibility of Beetlejuice and the Nightmare Before Christmas models, along with other great films, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's, you know, it's again something else I didn't really think of. I was thinking more generic, but maybe a Beetlejuice theme model would be an interesting idea. I did really enjoy the Beetlejuice movie. Nightmare Before Christmas is a big thing. Is that owned by Disney now? Isn't everything? So that, you know, licensing is going to be the issue. Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, interesting ideas. Can you imagine a figure of Freddy Krueger? Kind of like we've got, you know, these Star Wars figures, and we've had some Marvel figures, maybe Freddy Krueger and I don't know, Jason with the mask. Interesting thoughts. Pinhead. I've not really seen much of those movies, but I can just see Pinhead as a model. That would be very amusing. Fantastic idea. Code Wookie. Oh man, if Metal Earth could get licenses for Nightmare Before Christmas, holy crap, that would be awesome. So following up to Rich's comment, Nightmare Before Christmas, I mean, that's kind of along the lines of Harry Potter. There's a lot of people that love that and continue to love Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. There's something they could do there. And then kind of an odd one out, Gary Bennett. And I'm just bringing this up because I agree with it. It's not really holiday themed, but Gary Bennett says, I would like to see a model of Battlestar Galactica. As would I. Especially with the reimagining of it that came out several years ago. There's 2 different Battlestar Galacticas you could do. There's 2 different Pegasuses you could do. Or was the original Pegasus even all that different? I can't remember if they even showed it on the screen. But yeah, there's some Battlestar Galactica and Battlestar Galactica related models I would love to see. And that's about it for new models this week. Hopefully next week will be a little more exciting. I am actually going to, after I finish recording this, a little bit of editing, I'm going to try to work on editing part 3 of the Hogwarts Castle in Snow, because that's been done. Hope to get more editing done on it, but hasn't happened. Schooling shifting to 3rd shift, and the kids' schooling is still kind of kicking my butt. There are days where I come home from work and everything's fine, and then the days where I come home or get up in the evening and I've got 3 projects. Can you please help? So still time management is difficult. And I'm still shifting. I mentioned earlier going to 3rd shift. I've worked 4 days now. I'm doing okay, but I'm still Still settling down my sleeping. I stayed up later this morning than I had meant to, but I needed to for a meeting, and didn't get a lot of sleep today. It's going to be days where I'm staying up late in the morning and sleeping later in the evening, and days where I'm going to bed and getting up earlier, and it's just challenging finding the time to record these videos. Honestly, the best time is the middle of the night on my days off when things are quiet. But I shall keep on keeping on and doing my best, and I apologize that videos have gotten a lot slower, and that's just the way it is now, unfortunately. I'm still trying. I'm still mostly able to do these Friday news videos, but as far as building models, it just takes me a lot longer to build them and edit them and get through the process with a more limited time. And of course, I've got other projects that I'm trying to finish up. With the seasons changing, there are a number of things that I want to do, like winterize my vehicles. You know, I've got this truck that I got from Florida that I got working over the summer, but there's, you know, it needs undercoating. There needs some rust repair, or like not even rust repair, but there's some bad spots in the paint job that need repair. I got some junkyard rims that I need to clean and paint and get snow tires on it. There's a trailer project that I started that I'm almost finished, so, you know, I keep myself too busy. It's just who I am. I like to tinker and keep my hands working on something. It's just who I am. Otherwise, health seems to be doing okay. I'm adjusting to the new position. For the most part, I'm liking it. But it's still new. I don't think I'm going to dislike it at any point. I just think I need to adjust to it, and definitely the possibility of things getting better. I think I'm going to like it more than I did working first shift. But I can't get into too much detail about it, or I dare not get into too much detail, because I am working for a hospital, and they're privacy is very important to them. So leave it at that. Thank you for watching. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel. It's greatly appreciated. And thank everyone who comments. I don't really have a question of the week this week. There's something you would like to see asked, something you have a question of that you would like others to respond to, leave it down below, and maybe we can talk about it, or I can mention it next week. I can give my thoughts, and I can put it out there for everyone else. Leave your comments down below. Thank you, and as always, keep on keeping on.